Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. My name is Don Pelto and I have David here, and we are going to be talking about SubKit. Welcome, David.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We are seeing David's screen, and we are going to be talking a little bit about SubKit. So give us just a 30,000 foot overview of what SubKit is, and then we'll kind of get into the questions.
Yeah, absolutely. In a nutshell, SubKit is a software solution that allows entrepreneurs, small businesses, solopreneurs in a variety of different industries to create subscription offerings out of their various products and services. To kind of take advantage of that subscription model that a lot of larger corporations, sort of mostly in the tech space, have availed themselves of to generate reliable, recurring revenue for their businesses. Yeah. That's the 30,000 foot view.
Yeah. And so I was interested. There's a couple of good books that talk about subscription, and I was somehow got introduced to SubKit. And I've heard of like subscriptions, people having like a mastermind as a subscription, or people having like, you can get the shave club thing where you can get your shaving stuff as a subscription. And I was trying to figure out, is there a way for us as podiatrists having certain things that the patients keep seeing us for? And that's why I'm kind of talking, that's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So the way we sort of classify the various offerings or products and services that folks can have in a subscription are into these three buckets here, whether it's a physical product like maybe orthotics, right? If it's content, that's pretty much anything that you could envision would be delivered to somebody's email inbox, either video, audio, or just text or multimedia. And then a session offering is either one-on-one or one-to-many group call, sort of like what you and I are doing right now, interfacing in a direct way. And so we typically see, or we advise anyway, of a three-tiered subscription model where your lowest tier is a low spend for folks. Maybe it's just a content offering in the form of a newsletter or monthly videos that come every couple 2 weeks. Your middle of the road is going to be a higher spend and probably going to be inclusive of that content offering in the lower tier, but also additional value in the form of maybe additional content or a one-to-many sort of group experience where someone isn't getting individual attention, but they're getting some sort of ability to maybe do a hot seat question in a mastermind or whatever the case may be. And then the highest tier is going to be usually that one-on-one high-touch experience, right? So meeting either once a month or every 2 weeks with, a variety of different industries and different expertise that somebody can receive, depending on whether it's a coach. In sort of clinical and medical space, it's a little bit trickier, right? Because we definitely don't want to be cannibalizing anybody's existing practice that they're doing either in person or virtually, right? But that's sort of the structure that we advise.
So so what they call this is like the level progression plan, like the stairway, right? The free offer, low offer, and then high ticket item. And I think that's great. I think trying to figure out how we can do that as doctors would really, really benefit us. I know. Do you have any clients that maybe are doctors or in the healthcare sphere that are making this work for them? I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot, but
so I have.
You don't have to show us. You could just kind of walk us through and kind of say what they do, or
So the one that I think is most unique is actually it's a physical therapist out of Massachusetts, and they don't actually do anything clinical with patients on their subscriptions. They actually do a research digest for other practitioners in the physical therapy space. So they're out there reading all the journals and sort of condensing and synthesizing this information for newer practitioners or folks that are, just sort of getting their foot in the door with physical therapy, whatever the case may be, right? And that's their offering. So it's entirely content-based. I don't have their profile in front of me off the top of my head. I'd have to go and look for it. But that's one thing they do, yeah. Okay. And then other times, we see folks usually in like the mental health and wellness fields, right? Doing that sort of one-on-one experience. With podiatry, that's the one that's altogether new to me, and I don't know a whole lot about.
I was brainstorming. As we were thinking. Like I was thinking about certain things, like you could get your cream once a month, but I'm like, that's not too exciting for me. Having a monthly cream.
Right.
What did kind of excite me was this idea I've been batting around of orthotics.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping maybe we could brainstorm that together.
So how often do folks replenish those orthotics?
Okay, so there's a couple of different types of orthotics. We have an over-the-counter one that maybe lasts 6 to 12 months, and it
Okay.
costs about maybe, let's say, $50. And so that's one that would be every 6 to 12 months, $50. But what we really like are the ones that cost $550, and let's say they last between 3 and 5 years. Okay, so they're replenishing them every 3 years. And like the conversation in my head is there a way we can have it on a subscription instead of getting all the money up front, and then give them like something a value each month? I don't know, like a newsletter or a video or something else. I don't know. That was my thought. And then having them. So a lot of people, what I find though, is how many am I actually seeing come back every 3 to 5 years to get another pair? I would say 0.5%. So
wow.
my thought is by doing this, can the perceived value go up? And then they come back more frequently. That's the whole thing. We're supposed to see them every year. But for example, I saw a patient yesterday. I had him come back for a year follow-up. And I'm like, I look at the orthotics, they're doing fine. They're not cracked. And I'm like, okay, well, you're okay. And I'm like, come back in 2 years. Because it's not too exciting that 1 year follow-up, as long as everything is okay. So
yeah. So that could work. The only disadvantage I could see is that if you're sort of spreading that cost out over the course of several, we can charge folks either monthly or quarterly. So if we were spreading that cost out over like 4 quarters over the span of 3 to 5 years, if somebody cancels that subscription, you've then lost quite a bit of money, because we won't be able to recover any of that cost after they've canceled.
yeah.
So that might not be workable.
Yeah, and it's not as simple, because like let's say I would say probably here in Massachusetts 80% pay cash, $550. But other people, they get it covered by their insurance.
Right.
So another thing that I thought of is, well, could we call it like an orthotic club? So we call it orthotic club. Would be, you would buy your orthotics, but for like $5 or $10 a month, we would give you something of value every month. And it would include like a guarantee, or if it breaks, or discounts, or, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, other things you could provide, shoes, other steps like within orthotics, but you could give shoe discounts. You could get affiliate programs for Amazon or for socks, or I don't know, something else like that. Kind of call it an orthotic club for $5 a month. And I don't know, that was another thing I thought of.
Yeah. So, I mean, those other sort of accessory items, right? Like socks or shoes, whatever the case may be, right? You could do that in form of a physical product if those are replenishing on a more frequent schedule. The only issue I see is just with the way that the platform is structured right now, right? I'd have to create a product. Well, I can show you here, right? If I were to say this is my plan that has orthotics or whatever the case may be.
Yep.
I really only have these two options. I can either bill folks monthly or quarterly.
Okay.
So if the replenishment schedule is different than the billing cycle, I don't know if that is going to necessarily work for you or folks in the space.
Yeah.
So yeah, it might be a little tricky.
Okay. No, this is why we talk about it. I'm trying to think of what other consumable things we have. Like, I thought about information, but like information is a hard thing for people to keep paying for.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, like, I know, like what you were talking about before, I know a couple of doctors, they actually record surgical videos, and they charge like $20 a month for their membership, where the other doctors, new doctors, can get their surgical videos. So that's something I thought would work. If you want to, we could, I don't know, we could walk through this podiatry practice mastery thing, if that would help, like kind of what the idea of a level progression plan would be. That would be something else we could walk through. Yeah.
And so that would be for other podiatrists, right?
Yeah. So this thing that I have right now is called Podiatry Practice Mastery. And I have a podcast, I have a YouTube page, and I use Kajabi right now just because that's what I use. And so I have like an online product, but the thought is you would give out some free content like every month, and then they could join, which I don't have, is like, I don't have a mastermind. So I thought like a group mastermind and then individual coaching would be an easy thing to do.
Right. So that would fit nicely into the SubKit platform, right? Because that's sort of, we're talking about, again, content and session offerings that would then be built into a subscription plan. The only real difference is that with us, we aren't really like Kajabi in sort of like the ability to host like very interactive course content there, right? You can absolutely host content on our platform in the form of let's see, actually, if I go to an offering like my newsletter here, right? So this is just a demonstration, but
Yeah.
I can then iterate on my newsletter from this offering here and write posts here. I can then upload various multimedia, whether it's audio, images, or video, right?
Okay.
But I know some of the functionality of Kajabi is like you can sort of interact with the content and ask questions and folks can answer them and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, that's more the courses, but the email component is just like this. It's just an e-blast that goes out and schedules and stuff like that, which is very similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that would work. Yeah, absolutely.
That's something. I like the idea. Like for doctors, if we could figure out a way to have every patient pay us. Well, and this is what a lot of doctors are doing. I don't know if you're familiar with this, the concierge model. Are you familiar with that, David?
I'm not, no.
So what's happening now is primary cares are overworked. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
And let's say they have 500 or 1,000 patients on their panel that they have to take care of. So what they're doing now is they're saying, well, hey, I'm going to keep taking insurance, but you are going to pay me a concierge fee. And that might be, if you're healthy, $50 a month. For a family, might be $150.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah.
I'm just throwing this out to you. This might be a great offering for you guys. Basically, the doctors, they would do it through SubKit. They would do their let's say $50 for one and $150 for a family monthly, and that gives them access to more access to that doctor to take them on their panel, and so they can reduce their patients from 1,000 to like 300. But the added benefit is you get your newsletter, you get your whatever group session. We talk about health, and you can come and see me whenever you want. You have my cell phone and things like that. So I think that is a really good thing for like primary cares to get more access to the doctor.
Right. But with specialists like yourself, right? Is that model successful or have people experimented with it?
I know there's a couple of places where they've opted out of Medicare and they just do a pure cash model. And so I think some people have done that, but they haven't. I don't know of many people that are charging like a premium for that. Like I've thought of, if you did only like, because we have certain things that are cash pay. So like if you only did shockwave treatment, which is one of the cash pay treatments, or, things like that. But I don't have it. I don't have my practice restricted to that. And I don't think I'm not that huge, like in terms of there's not a huge wait list, because for primary cares, no one can find a primary care.
Right. And there's like 10 of them in the whole country.
And they get like 10 minutes with the doctor. Like this way you can get an hour with your doctor every 6 months, and you can have their cell phone and they'll be your friend. And you know what I'm saying? All these other things. And I think there's a real niche desire for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually, that's something I haven't really had much insight into, like in my career at SubKit. I think that's a fantastic idea though. And that's something that would work very well with our platform, right? Because if it's so, but they're not guaranteed any specific number of visits or anything like that, right? So it's sort of just as needed, right?
When they do these things, they're called concierges. So usually you do it a physical every 6 months or every year with the doctor, and then but basically there's no guaranteed number of visits, but there's access for them, and they have to pay monthly. So there has to be a way that they can charge your credit card monthly for that, whatever that value thing is. And also giving them something of value, such as like a newsletter or things like that, I think would help just to increase the value of that, what they're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, something like that would fit very naturally into SubKit, right? Because it would sort of do your content delivery directly through the platform, and then sort of schedule the patient visits, right? I'm sure every primary care doctor has a system for doing that already. But that would make a lot of sense. Tell me
a little bit more about like some of these other things. I'm curious. You guys have like collaborations. You guys like offer for us as doctors to write articles, or not articles, but it's called what's that called? Where we do a little thing about our practice.
Oh, the Go Solo interview.
Go Solo. Yeah. So talk a little bit about what is Go Solo? How is that working for you? How does it help your business and in these collabs and things like that? So tell me a little bit about those.
Yeah, absolutely. So Go Solo is our blog that we publish.
You don't call it a blog, you call it Go Solo. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay. So we have here helpful articles for folks that are solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners. But we also do a lot of interviews with solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, right? So you'll notice as I scroll down here, we have all sorts of different folks that we're highlighting because that's sort of, the folks that are our bread and butter, right? The folks that we want to work with at SubKit. So you'll see people in all different industries. This is who we highlight. So if anyone is interested in ever doing an article with us, I believe you can submit a request to be interviewed. But I can get you that link. You could share it with folks.
I'll add that link. So if you guys are listening and you want to be interviewed, so basically it'll interview about your practice and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, we've written quite a few of these. So, and that's helpful for us because folks, when they share that article, right, they then increase our domain authority if they publish it, or if they share a link on their website, or if they share it on social, right? So it's a mutual benefit, right? That we give you some free promotion, and then if folks go out and share it, it's sort of everybody wins.
Yeah, and so I want to kind of take this and so this is similar for those that are listening. For your patients, let's say a patient has a really good experience. That's what we send them to Google for Google reviews. You could do something similar. Go to this SubKit. You can see how they do a type form thing where you put your information in, but you could do the same thing for your patients. They could fill out the type form. What was your experience before seeing the doctor? What was it like after? And then hit submit. And then you can take that and publish it on your site as a written testimonial. So I'm just kind of thinking a way how you can use what someone else is doing to work for you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
And then the collabs. What are the collabs?
Yes. So collabs are a feature that is brand new to SubKit. We're pretty sure it's exclusive to us. We can't find anyone else in the tech world that's doing something like this. But essentially, it's the ability to combine various offerings between different providers into collaborative hybrid subscription offerings, right? So let's say we have a provider on the platform that is a coffee roaster, and they take their coffee pound of coffee that they do once a month, and they collaborate with someone who does baked goods, right? And so they take their coffee and croissant people who are doing two very different things can combine their products into a single subscription that a customer can then purchase and receive both items. The benefit on the provider end is, one, again, just sort of finding new ways to have customers interact with the business, but you end up reaching a new audience through that other provider that has their own folks that they're able to market to that may not otherwise have heard of you. So that's sort of an example that we use frequently, but I don't know that I don't know how that would necessarily work with podiatry. Again, it would be a challenge.
I think I like to read a lot of Dan Kennedy stuff about marketing, and Jay Abraham, and a lot of these guys you just steal from other industries. So not that it's going to work for podiatry, but I can get it something that might work in another industry, and you can model it in our industry, because all we do is just model everyone else that are podiatrists, and I think that gets boring. So I think it's good to so as we're kind of concluding here, David, any other for entrepreneurs that are podiatrists or healthcare, any other good tools or tips or ideas, or some of the top best tips that you have, if you have anything for those that are listening that want to grow their practice, want to get more patients, want to earn more revenue? It could be SubKit or not SubKit, just some great words of wisdom that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to increase your findability online, you want to increase your rankings with Google, there's really no easy way to do it. It takes quite a bit of work, and the secret is threefold. It's content, and content. So whether that's video, whether that's written content, whether that's audio, whatever the case may be, having a place on your site where content is being updated regularly and consistently helps those search engines to see that this is a site that is valuable. It's a valuable search result that I want to say, I'm Google, I want to serve to my customers, right? Because it has consistent updates, that it's fresh, right? It's not just a website that was created in 2015 and then never updated again, right? So that's what the search engines want to see. So that's my advice to any small business, regardless of whatever the industry is. That is universally true.
That's awesome. And this is a personal question I have. Let's say you already do a podcast on iTunes or Anchor, you do something on YouTube, And these are, what do they say? These are areas you don't own. You own your website.
Right.
So what I see on your Go Solo, that's what you're updating. That's your blog.
Right.
So would you recommend taking the stuff that's out there and then moving it to your site, like putting the content in two places?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not necessarily duplicating, right? Because it's living in two places, and Google is not necessarily indexing whatever, podcast streaming service, whatever page that podcast might be on, but they are indexing your website. And so that's where, you want to make sure that if you're creating that content, that it's living in your domain as well.
That's great. That's great. Well, thank you, David. If people are interested in learning more about SubKit, I guess they would just go to subkit.com. Is that correct, to learn more?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they can go to subkit.com and request more information or request a meeting with us.
Great. Well, thank you so much. This has been helpful.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure.